Before we continue, let's do a quick recap of Aleph. Really, hopefully, quick recap, because that's the Iker, the foundation of this whole siman, and then we can move forward. So we're, of course, siman Vav 96. And what we're learning here is the principle of Durke de Sakina, that is the knife's pressure, and how the knife's pressure increases the absorption into which it is pressing. Now, that only happens if it's combined with another factor, with some sort of heat element, which means a cold knife cutting an otherwise, it's a cold fruit of some sort, even if it's a fleshik knife, it doesn't make the fruit fleshik. The only issue there is, as we discussed, the knife may have some residue. Today, knives are clean, but let's just assume that there were Shulchan Aruch does that the knife has some residue, and you have to wash off that residue from the edge of the apple. That's it. But once you have some other element, some other factor, some other absorbent component that serves to heighten the capacity of the absorption from the knife, or the knife heightens the absorption of the other element. So heat, we already learned in the previous siman, so like Daled we learned already, right? That knife plus heat causes absorption throughout the whole item. This siman, we're learning knife plus sharp. Okay, knife plus sharp. Sharp not meaning the edge, but sharp means taste. Heat, that's this kind of heat. Sorry, not sharp, not sharp as in the edge, not sharp as in the edge of the knife. But sharp as in the taste.
It makes the difference with the butter knife. It makes the difference if it's a butter knife or a...
Okay, well, we spoke about that a little bit already once before about what that means, but we'll get to that again. But spicy, sharp food that is cut with a knife, then that causes absorption to be more than just the surface, more than just the cleaning the residue. So in that regard, where the Gemara clearly tells us that knife plus davar charif, that's the matter, this term we're going to use to separate, to distinguish between the sharp blade and the sharp taste. The sharp taste is charif. Charif means sharp in Hebrew. Davar charif, an item that is sharp, an item that is sharp flavored. So knife, in the Hebrew, that would be duchke de sakina. That's Aramaic, I should say, not Hebrew. The pressure of the knife plus davar charif causes heightened absorption. That's clear from the Gemara. Question is, to what degree? Now, so that became a few different machlekes in here. Number one, the question was, is it just the kedei netila, which is the finger was 2 centimeters that it was, right? Kedei netila, that's how deep it goes, or does it go through the whole thing? That was question one, right? The Shulchan Aruch only mentioned the opinion, the Mechaber that is, only mentioned the opinion that it goes kedei netila. However, the Ramah mentions an opinion that says it goes through the whole food item. That was issue number one. Issue number two is, okay, the sharp has the capacity to cause increased absorption. It also has the capacity to reinvigorate not bar nat. That's clear, because the knife to begin with is not bar nat, right? It's not like I'm pressing meat into the onion. I'm pressing a knife that came in contact with meat into the onion. Right, so it's not bar nat. It's meat to knife, knife to onion. And now the question is, can the onion go with cheese? That's already not bar nat situation, right? Yes, the flavor going 2 steps. We're trying to prevent the mixture of milk and meat, but the milk and meat are only meeting 2 times later. Meat to knife, knife to onion, and it's meeting there in the onion. That's 2 steps. If that onion is later cooked with cheese, yeah. So clearly, for the Gemara, the fact that there's a sharp food here has the capacity to reinvigorate the otherwise weak flavor of the nat bar nat, of the 2-step removed. Machlekes that the Shulchan Aruch himself mentions both opinions is whether or not the sharpness of the flavor also can reinvigorate a negative flavor of ben yoimai. Ordinarily, a flavor that is over 24 hours old, again, a flavor, not food item, If it's actual food item, different story. This is only a question of flavor. It's only a question of tam ki'ikr, right? It's the limitations on tam ki'ikr, it's limitations on, or the qualifications of the flavor itself, not actual thing. So the flavor is being reinvigorated, even though it's not barnat. Can it also be reinvigorated, even though it's ben yoimai? Which means the knife hasn't been used in the last 24 hours. It was used 72 hours ago to cut meat. And now I'm cutting an onion. Is the onion flakeshik or not? So A, the pressure of the knife reinvigorates not barnat. And B, this is the machlokes, does it also reinvigorate the negative flavor that would otherwise be there because it's ben yoimai? Clear? That was point 2 we mentioned. Is that clear so far?
The difference between the two, the not barnat and reinvigorating?
Not barnat is clear from the Gemara. There's no machlokes that it reinvigorates. Because
Right,
the whole dukkha sakina is not barnat.
right.
So if the Gemara says that dukkha sakina causes absorption, it's because the Gemara is accepting that not barnat gets that dukkha that davar charif, reinvigorates not barnat. That's the Gemara's assumption. We learned this already before that we have a not barnat and that the food item now is very sharp.
How is that different from the third case?
The question is, does the same reinvigoration process also happen for ben yoimai? In other words, let's put it this way: not barnat is the problem. Why is not barnat not a problem? Because tam kolash is very weak. It's flavor that travels from meat to a bowl, and from a bowl to a pasta. It's so weak by the time it gets to the pasta, it's okay that you have it with cheese. Yeah. So the sharp will reinvigorate the weakness. It's no longer weak anymore. Right? Because it went from the meat to the knife to the onion. Onion is sharp, and the onion will reinvigorate and say that the weak flavor is now not so weak anymore. Does the sharpness also have the capacity to turn a negative flavor into positive?
Easy question.
That's the question of ben yoimai. We know it has the capacity to reinvigorate a weak flavor.
It's increasing
Correct.
the power
So
of flavor.
increasing
And the third case is bringing out
a negative flavor, making it
negative
positive.
flavor, making it positive
Correct.
in the utensil. That's
Correct.
used.
So in the fact that the davar charif can reinvigorate not barnat. Is everybody following what I'm saying when I say this? These Hebrew words? Yeah. I follow. Sorry.
Yeah.
I follow. It tells me all the time. Well, follow has taught me that when you're teaching Chassidus especially, can't hide behind Hebrew words. So I don't want to hide behind Hebrew words in the Shulchan Aruch either. When you understand what we say when I say these words? So you have davar charif, you have a sharp item, it's an onion, and it's not barnat. It's second degree flavor, right? It's meat to knife, knife to onion. Yeah. So the flavor that's in the onion now is weak because it's not barnat. But the sharpness, the davar charif of the onion will reinvigorate the weakness of that flavor. The question is, does it also do the same thing for a negative flavor? Right? Because a flavor
positive.
and turn it into positive. My knife hasn't been used in 24 hours. So the absorption of meat is a negative meat flavor.
Mhm.
Cutting the knife now, cutting the onion, does the onion now turn that flavor into a positive one? I want to close the ears there. I want to really get this class. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah. Okay, so that was machlokes. Yeah. Whether dukkha sakina plus the pressure of the knife plus davar charif, does that mean is it also problematic when the knife is ben yoimai? Well, the knife isn't ben yoimai. The knife hasn't been used in 24 hours. Yeah. Okay, that's problem number 2. Problem number 3. Yeah, we're clear on this so far.
If it's ben yoimai, it's not negative flavor.
Sorry.
If it's ben yoimai, it's not negative flavor yet.
Correct. Yes.
You meant
It's
not
in
Ben
ben yoimai.
Yoimai.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say you meant.
Yeah, I meant
not
any
Ben-
ben yoimai. Yes, I meant it has been used in 24 hours.
Any.
Correct. Okay, that was item number 2. Item number 3 is how much. If we went ahead and that onion that I just chopped up with, the onion I just cut. Let's make it simple. I cut that onion in half, and it now with a meat knife, and let's just assume that the knife is ben yoimai. It was used in the last 24 hours for meat, so that onion is definitely fleshik. It definitely absorbed meat by all standards. Great. Now I cook that onion in a French onion soup,
Milchik.
milk which is full of cheese. All right. How much do what percent of the onion needs to be nullified? What percentage of the onion needs to be nullified? So one view is the onion is, well, it's not barnat, but it's davar charif. So not barnat is irrelevant now. And we decided already, just for the argument's sake, that it's ben yoimai. So the knife was used in the last 24 hours for meat. Yeah. So now, and this onion now is in my French onion soup, mixed with cheese and everything. So what percent of the onion needs to be nullified by 60?
Is it just what comes off the knife?
So opinion number one was Machaber, only the volume of the knife. In fact, not even the volume of the whole knife, only the volume of the knife that actually did the cutting of the onion. If you know how much the knife you used.
It's
The
cold,
blade.
right? 'Cause it's cold.
Sorry?
It's the same.
But because it's cold, and because more importantly, the onion cannot give off more flavor than it absorbed. And it cannot absorb more than the volume of the knife. The max flavor that the onion can possibly absorb is
The side of the blade.
the blade, the size of the blade, and only the part of the blade that's interacted with the onion. If I know that it's a very long knife, and I only know that the bottom inch was used to cut the onion, right? Because I'm a professional chef, and I go, so I know only that much of the knife was used. I only need to nullify 60 by that, which means very easy to be nullified. Yeah. Okay. Question one. But however, however, the Machaber mentioned, the Rambam mentioned an opinion, which said what?
Cut them very small.
That no, you have to nullify, sorry, no, I must have like this. If the knife you're in question is not a meat knife, if it's a meat knife, then I'm going to agree with the Machaber that all you need to do is nullify the volume of the knife, which is the max amount of meat flavor that exists in that onion. However, if you're using a non-kosher knife, yeah, and the onion absorbs it, now the onion became chanan. Remember the principle of chanan. The principle of chanan is that the item that is absorbing takes on the character of that which it absorbed. So everybody agrees. Sorry?
Why is there a difference between kosher and just flitches?
Oh, so explain.
Non-kosher.
So everybody agrees that we learned about chanan. Which simon was chanan?
Sorry, base.
Static base. Thank you very much.
Beginning.
Yeah. So one of the first simon we learned. Third simon we learned. So chanan, we had a machlokes. Everybody agrees chanan is when it's milk and meat. So if milk falls into meat and it's not 60 to the ratio of the meat to the milk, then the entirety of the piece of meat becomes prohibited. Because as we explained, without explaining it too much at length now, because each are kosher, they only become non-kosher in their mixture. So the entirety of the mixture is a source of non-kosher. Chanan, great. Ramah held that we do say chanan b'shar yisurim. We say chanan even by other yisurim, which means a piece of meat that absorbs a tiny drop of non-kosher meat, and the kosher piece of meat is not 60 to the ratio of the drop of non-kosher meat, the entirety of the kosher meat becomes a source of unkosher. That's only true when what's being absorbed is not kosher. If what's being absorbed is kosher, we're not going to say chanan. So in this case, the onion is kosher. The knife is kosher. It's just fleshig. So the knife is absorbing meat. Nothing is not kosher here. So there's no reason to turn the entire onion into a source of non-kosher, because nothing is non-kosher. So therefore, all you need to nullify if that onion ended up in milk was only nullify the amount of meat, which is only the size of the knife. If, however, what you use was a non-kosher knife, and now you cut onions that are non-kosher with a non-kosher knife, so the onion now absorbed non-kosher. Now, because it absorbed non-kosher, in Rambam's view, we say chanan by other yisurim, the whole onion is a source of non-kosher, and therefore what do I have to nullify? In theory, the whole onion. But for the fact that how much of the onion is absorbing non-kosher?
Just the part.
So one opinion was it goes the whole way through. That's a stringent opinion. The other opinion says it only goes through kedei netila, it only goes through the amount of the finger width, 2 centimeters. So I only need to nullify 2 centimeters of the onion that are near the cut, if it's used with a non-kosher knife. Which is why the Rambam said that if you cut the onion, chop it up very small with a non-kosher knife, so every single piece of onion is kedei netila. So you have to have 60 to the ratio of the entire onion, because it's chopped up very finely. Yeah?
The difference if you took
Clear?
60 onions and you cooked the 60 onions, so it would be a big difference between one opinion and the other.
Oh, now we had another thing though. Did we get to this already?
No, we did the lemon.
Oh, we didn't get to that yet. Oh, okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that question. But I think that covers everything in Sif Aleph. Is there anything I missed from Sif Aleph and those who were here on last week? Yes, is that clear? Okay, so with that in mind,
Didn't
Yeah.
you say at the beginning in the first
we
case?
spoke about we
that-
didn't speak about lemon, but we spoke about the fact that that you don't assume they used if they have not knives that are specially used for for that cutting vegetable, we don't assume they use a non-kosher knife. So if you bought a radish with the edges chopped off, you don't assume they use a non-kosher knife for that, unless it's coming from a kitchen where they're producing lots of other stuff. But otherwise you don't have to assume that they used the non-kosher knife to cut the edge of the radish. Right? We mentioned that.
Yeah.
Initial knife.
So
Okay.
a
Yeah.
bar, for example.
Sorry.
So a bar, for example, you don't have to.
Okay. We'll get to the issue of the bar. I think I mentioned this
Mention this.
on Sunday. We'll get to that today more.
Our mitzvahs are usually kosher.
We will get the sickle. No, we'll get to that, which is if they in bars where they have a knife where they cut a lot of lemons. By the time it gets to the end, there's no longer any flavor from the original non-kosher, and the few original slices that had the non-kosher is already nullified in the mixture. Considering that they're cutting onions, they're cutting their lemons in multitudes. But we'll get to that in Sif Gimel. Okay, that was Sif Aleph. Yes.
That's kosher.
Sorry.
Yeah, specifically shuffles.
Okay, so the definition of Duklat Sakina, we spoke about this also once, and this Rav here, who we're relying on a lot, it's not fair to rely on him for leniencies and not for stringencies. He argues that spoons are the same way, because the pressure is the pressure. Now, I said, again, I'm not,
What, to like, cut a piece of cake type of thing?
yeah, that also is the same, because it's the same pressure. Now, I argued that one could make the difference between a spoon cutting versus a knife cutting and the way they cut, but I don't know, that's above my pay grade.
This is more about the food.
Sorry?
He's asking more about the food.
It's about the sharp part, not cake. It has to be sharp, yeah.
Yeah, no, just.
It's sharp food, yes, but if you're using a spoon to cut that sharp food.
There's also a problem with cutting a fish.
Sorry?
Getting fish from the supermarket is cut.
Okay, we spoke about that last time. That's also a separate issue. That's not an issue fish is not sharp.
You take it.
That's a question of residue. So in that case, you just scrape off the edge, you're fine, right? It's just a question of residue. All right.
Lemon juice.
Is that
You're right,
an opinion that's kind of out there, or that's something that's
No.
accepted?
If you remove the edge of the knife, if you have, okay, we're not looking at halachas of fish right now, but if
No,
the fish
spoon. I'm
has
talking about the spoon.
the spoons, that's widely accepted. The first time I saw it was in here. And he writes, he puts in the footnote, doesn't seem to be any different. It doesn't give like a bunch of sources for it. And I explained why I think there could be reason to say it's different. The way a knife cuts is not the same way a spoon cuts. A knife cuts, it makes its way through the item, splitting it in half as it goes down. A spoon puts pressure and it's like it breaks in half. It's very different.
Just the fact that it's serrated, the knife.
Serrated for sure if you're going back and forth, but even if it's not a serrated knife, if you're not using a serrated knife and you're cutting bread, it'll squish. But if you're cutting onion with a non-serrated knife, it'll still cut its way through the onion. But if you took a spoon and tried to pressure through the onion, you're not going to cut its way through the onion. It's going to split the onion almost like a hammer, right? It doesn't really do the same.
You're breaking it instead of.
Yeah, you're breaking it instead of cutting it way through. The spoon doesn't really behave the same way the knife does. I'm just making. Again, I'm not on the same level as
You could
a rabbi
argue
who
that
I rely on.
you need
He's
even
making the
more
point.
pressure.
Sorry,
You could argue that you need even more pressure to go
that's what
through
he
with the
argues.
spoon.
He argues
Yeah.
that the spoon is more pressure. That the spoon is more pressure because you have to push it really hard. So
Not
maybe it
made
causes
for
more
cutting.
absorption. Again, I can see both ways. Anyway, I'll let everybody decide. All right, so before we didn't get to finish some of the practical stuff that come out of this before we get to Sibbeis, and I want to do some of that because these are important things. So we start talking about what happens with the sharp onion that was cut with my meat knife that ended up in another cooked thing. So he explained, all I need to have is, because there's no non-kosher here, kosher onion, kosher knife, it's just fleshik. All I need to have is 60 to the ratio of the knife, which means in most dishes you'll have that. In most dishes you'll have that. Even if you chopped up an onion finely with a fleshik knife and you dump it into your French onion soup is going to have much more than 60 to the ratio of that knife. Right? So in most cases you'll be okay. We explained also that if it was that even the onion is okay. We explained, right, because when you're cooking in a full mixture that has liquid, like the soup I just described, the flavor is completely diffused throughout the entire mixture. And if the onions themselves don't even have to be removed, because they no longer have meat any more or less than anything else, and the meat has been nullified. The meat flavor has been nullified, right? That was number two. But we also mentioned last time that this is only true, therefore, if it's taka liquid. If it's not a liquid, right, then you have an issue. Specifically, if you, Mayor's example, you have, if you have a pizza, which is milchik, obviously, and you put onions on top of it that were cut with a meat knife. So in this case, I cannot say that
There's no diffusion.
there's no diffusion of flavor throughout the whole thing, and therefore everything basically is treif there.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, everything's essentially treif there, because there's absorption of flavor from a davar charif that has meat flavor in it, because it was cut with a knife that is meat.
But if
And
the
direct
pizza's
contact with cheese.
dry,
Sorry,
if the pizza is dry, like it's probably oily, but
if it's completely dry. No, the heat causes the movement anyway.
Okay.
The heat of
So-
the cheese, tatal gavar, is causing movement anyway.
Mhm,
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, heat without liquid doesn't diffuse anything, doesn't diffuse
It's-
nature.
That's
Heat
the
without
principle of
liquid?
tatal gavar. Tatal gavar is the principle of heat in the bottom causes diffusion, at least to some degree. If not all the way, to some degree, sure.
Just heat?
Yeah.
Because you always have to have liquid? We always.
No, for full absorption, yes, but for tatal gavar, to a certain degree, it does, right?
Also roasting.
Roasting also, tzli is not liquid, but it causes transfer. Not to the same degree, but it causes transfer.
Meat has some juice in it.
First of all, cheese is liquid, yes.
I mean, yes, I mean.
But actually, what we learned
Would it
that
be
we learned
totally
from
dry?
Rambam-
It would.
we learned from Machaber that cheese is uniquely dry. Whatever that. When we spoke about that, the cheese is uniquely dry in Machaber's view. But be that as it may, heat does cause transfer even without liquid, right? Unless it's completely dry, like
Completely dry.
like chametz on Pesach we mentioned, right?
If it's completely dry, then it's not
What if
gonna.
we say that the cheese is liquidy because it's got oil and stuff? Does that?
So then for sure it causes absorption through in your pizza.
Yeah, but it's different because
It's right, but it's not a mixture of stew to say that the flavor of the onion is completely diffused equally throughout the whole thing. We can't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what happens if your chopped up fleshik onions end up in a cold salad? Your chopped up onions with fleshik knife and it ends up in a cold salad. Can you have can you add feta cheese to your salad?
Same problem,
What do you say?
same problem.
What do you need to do?
Because then you're gonna see the, as long as you see the onions.
What do you have to do?
It's just bad.
So the onions are there. There's no diffusion of flavors. What do you have to do?
You should remove it.
You have to remove the onions. That's all.
Remove the onion?
Yeah.
So why was the pizza no?
Because the pizza was hot, caused transfer of flavor. Remove the onions, not gonna help. But your cold salad, remove the onions. That's all.
So take it out.
Onions have a strong taste.
No.
If you put them on lettuce and then remove them, you will taste the onion in the lettuce, 100%.
Maybe you'll taste the onion and lettuce, perhaps, but you're definitely not gonna.
taste the meat.
You're definitely not gonna taste the meat that's in the onion. Definitely not.
So there you have not or not.
Well, even more than that, it's cold, right? All right. Even if you put it into if you put that onion into cold water, what do you say?
Well, it's a trick one. Does onion, I don't know, in water, does an onion give off does it?
24 hours. If it's in 24 hours, it diffuses throughout. It doesn't, not 24 hours. Take out the onions and
The
good stuff to hate.
status of the water or the cup?
The water. You have to remove the onions. And that's it. And then enjoy your water. That tastes like onion.
It's not gonna taste very good.
Yeah. Okay, what happens now? You cut it with sharp food cut with a milchik knife, mixes into a pile of food. What's the halacha there? As long as you have 60 to the ratio of
Can
the
you repeat the question, sorry? Sharp food?
cut with a fleshik knife, sharp onion, which is a sharp food, cut with a fleshik knife, ends up in your part of dish.
Part of it.
You need 60 to the ratio of the knife. That's all you need. And then you can have that with cheese. Yeah,
60 to the ratio
of the knife.
of the knife, according to the Machaber,
Which everybody.
but not according to the Ramah.
Because it's not
Right.
it's not over aser. Not chanan, it's not over aser. It's not over aser.
And measuring the volume of small items like a knife, like it's the same equivalent to size class.
It's tiny. Yeah,
Measuring.
measure that, exactly. All right. But now,
Going back to the first machlokes for a second.
which
The
machlokes?
first, where you started right away, the difference between the Mechaber and the Ramah, who said,
Ben Yoima. No,
I said the
but
knife.
how much diffusion throughout the,
Yeah, the nice is fleshing. How much is it gonna go through the onion?
okay, that's an Indian for lechatchila, not for b'diavad. So when the Ramah says that the entire onion becomes fleshik, it's lechatchila. But b'diavad, the bittul doesn't have to be against the whole onion.
Nice.
So there's no chanan by Shari Sudim.
Uh-huh.
Right? He mentions, right? V'im chat v'zak shabas asli kula b'chalav v'chein noegim lechatchila. But b'diavad, ein less rak dinatila.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
But rak natila, so still rak natila means, in your case over here, the last case, that you said it was cut with.
You're only oyster
put
with
in-
natila.
Put in a milchik stew, a milchik dish, right?
So, yes.
So why would you not have to have it against the natila and not against the knife? It would have to be against the natila according to the Ramah. Not against the knife. That would only be for the mechaber.
This is the way Shach understood it. You have Shach number 10 in your booklet here. What does it say in Shach 10?
It doesn't,
Yeah,
wrong
that should,
wrong book.
in your Shach 10, tell me.
That's the wrong book.
The case on halacha b'diavad here is if the radish was already cooked, but there's 60 against the spot which needs to be removed, the food is permitted.
So he says it has to be 60 against the spot that's removed, not against the knife.
That's the other.
The Evid, right?
That's what I'm saying.
No, we're talking about the Evid now.
We're talking about the Evid.
Hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. Okay, look at Taz 5.
That's 5?
Yeah.
What's it say?
Taz 5 you have? What? No, it doesn't give a summary of Taz 5? Where does it say?
Yeah. If there are 60 amounts against the meat absorbed into the radish,
Oh, against the meat absorbed into the radish. Keep going.
sharp food does not have to be removed from the dish and it may be eaten.
There we go. You don't have to remove the onion, and you only need 60 against the knife, which was the absorption into the radish,
That's what he's saying?
because it's not davar aser. Yeah, that's the Taz.
Bracket said this does not apply in case when sharp vegetables absorb forbidden substances.
Oh, if it's forbidden substance now, it became Hanan. Precisely. Yeah.
When you talk about against the volume of the knife,
Yes. Yeah.
is it the blade or the
Blade only,
The blade.
and even
If you're
if
able to tell how much of the knife you used.
then only against that
just
part.
Only against that part.
Correct. If you don't know how much of the knife you use, you assume you do the whole knife. But if you know for sure, I only use this much of the knife, then it's even only against that much.
Is that realistic or not? Knowing how much you used?
It
The
is
knife?
because you have a big
Or
knife and it's freshly
knowing I
cut.
didn't use
If
this
you have a big
much?
knife and it's freshly cut, you can see where the liquid is. You can
Okay.
see where the residue is left from the cut.
Okay,
It's very easy to tell. Yeah, unless you cut a bunch of things and you can't really tell.
I assume we're talking about the blade.
The blade, yes, the blade only, yes.
It's a seamless knife.
Yeah,
What if it's a seamless knife? The handle's part of the blade. There's no.
only against the blade and not against the handle, because you're not cutting with the handle.
For sure.
There's one opinion which says that cham mitzvah cham kula, but it's only if it's cham, it's just not cham. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about.
Okay, let's continue going. Let's want to continue with this stuff. Okay, so what happens now is a common case. Okay, so now next case is you cut up your onion with a milchik knife, and now you're frying it in a fleshik pan. Yeah, if there's only a little bit of oil, so it's just like not a deep fry, it's just a little bit of oil, and it's not enough for the flavor diffusion, right? So now you have the same problem as the pizza. So your onion is no good, and so is your pan no good. Yeah. But if you had a lot of oil, then you have 60 to the ratio against the knife, and now you're good. All right. If you have, now here's an interesting case. This also happens. If that onion now, which came from a milchik cut knife, and it's falling into a part of a dish, right? But the part of a dish is ben yoima, which means it was used within the last 24 hours for milk. So it fell into
Part
your.
of a dish that was used in the last 24 hours for milk?
It's a bar for dish, not dish. I mean pasta. Okay, so it's
Oh,
it was cut with a fleshik knife, right? And now it's fell into pasta that was used. That's in a milchik pot that was used in the last 24 hours.
One more time, one more time. So I can catch it, say it again.
Dairy pot, you have, it's
Yeah.
part of pasta, but the pot was used for milchiks
In the last 24 hours.
last 24
In the
hours.
last 24 hours.
And now your onion that was cut with a fleshik's knife falls into that.
Correct. So you have like a meeting point of fleshik and milchik flavor in that pasta.
But only from
Milchik, positive milchik flavor from the pot, and positive fleshik flavor from the onion. Right? So here, actually, we do apply.
We don't, but is there not that one
Sorry?
from the knife? Now the onion is complete, the onion is fleshiks.
The onion is fleshik, but the milchik and the meat and milk is only meeting in the pasta. Right? Because the onion is bringing fleshik from the knife, and the pot is bringing milchik from the pot.
Previous pot.
From the previous cook. So now in the pasta is meeting both milchik and fleshik. This is similar to the case of washing dishes, right? Where you have water that's boiling in a milchik pot and you're cleaning a fleshik dish. And in the water, you meet both milk and meat. And where we determined that it's not treif, but you can't eat it with either milk or meat. Same thing would apply here. If this pasta cannot be eaten with milk or meat because it has flavor from here and flavor from there, but it itself is not strong enough to consider a mixture that would become not kosher.
So you can still eat the pasta on itself.
Yes, right.
Part of.
So it's a leniency.
Eat it.
It's a leniency.
And then you can eat the onions as well.
Yeah, sorry?
You can eat the onions as well with it.
Hmm.
Well, the onions are
You
considered
We
fleshiks.
have to pick up the onions before
You have to pick up the onions. But because the onions are fleshiks.
No, I think you can eat the onions too. I don't see why not.
Because the onions are fleshiks. And we just said the pasta is now in this weird milk
Right.
state.
Even if you don't, yeah, if you have 60 to the ratio, it's fine. But if you don't have 60 to the ratio,
Yeah, if the flesh, if
You can eat it with the.
which is why you shouldn't eat it with either. To leniency. Because of this not bar
Well, if you
nothing.
shouldn't eat it with either, then why are you allowed to eat it with the onion?
Why not?
Because the onion is fleshik.
So
But you just said we're not supposed to.
it isn't itself meat, it's meat flavor. But the meat flavor is very weak right now. Not strong enough to say that it's mixed with a weak meat milk flavor.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. Unless you introduce actual meat and milk, now you're introducing an actual. All right. Okay, I think we can go to bays now. Okay, we spoke about that. Spoke about that also. Leave that alone for now. Okay, let's go to bays. Yeah. What's the time now? Do we have time? Oh my gosh. I'll have to do this again. No problem. Im chatach, says the halacha base. Im chatach boy, a person cut using a meat knife, right? In Aleph, we discussed the law of davar charif plus tuchkit sakina, and now we're going to discuss what exactly qualifies as davar charif. What qualifies as a davar charif? What exactly that qualifies? So im chatach boy, if you cut with a meat, let's just say a meat knife for argument's sake, you cut shumin, garlic, or upitzolim, or onion, and karshinin, which I believe is green onion.
Is here, how here's leek.
Leek?
It doesn't make sense. Leek is.
No, it could be leek.
Yeah.
It could be leek, yeah. Yeah. Because here they charged it as Okay, we'll take a little, we'll say it's leek.
What are the types over there?
No, they put in the footnote. That's kind of onion. That's yellow or green. So that's why I said it was green onion. Okay, maybe it's leek. All right. And continue. What? Sorry,
There are such.
there are such things as yellow onions. Okay, yellow onions are straight onions.
That's over there.
Maybe they're treating green onions as just straight onions, and the chiddush here is leek too.
Nope.
Sorry,
Car-
karshinin. Yeah, not karshinin. That's how I pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Krishin. There's no two nuns. One nun.
Creation.
Creation.
Creating. Cofration.
Okay. Anyway, and likewise with tamcha shekodim chrein, and a mixture that we call chrein, horseradish that's cut up into chrein. Yeah, and anything like that. Midvar macharifim, from items that are sharp, like black pepper, or something that has been extremely, like a pepper crusted steak or something that's become so sharp that it takes on the flavor of the sharp flavor.
Leeks.
Sorry, it translates as leek.
Leeks, yeah.
Leek, okay. And get this, ready? Peiras chamutzim, sour fruits, like sour apples, and the like. Or we'll see a machlekes between the footnotes here and the footnotes here. Grapefruit. Does grapefruit qualify as a sour fruit?
For sure.
Okay, because one of the ways to qualify as something being sour, one way to qualify being sour or sharp is that it's sharp. When you taste it, it's sharp. Grapefruit are sharp, and that would count because the Shulchan Aruch here says sour fruit. The other definition of what is considered sharp is something that is so sharp that you can't eat too much of it.
Yeah.
Grapefruit, you can have a whole grapefruit. It's
It
delicious.
also depends, like in Israel, they're not really sharp, like grapefruits are not that sharp.
It's certain. Well, yeah, but grapefruit is never that sharp that you can't eat on its own. Onions, yes. Ordinary people don't just eat onions whole, but grapefruit you can eat whole, no problem, right? So, machlek is about grapefruit, but
We're gonna get maflek. Grapefruit is not sharp. It's bitter. It's like marked.
yeah,
Sour.
yeah, sour. Here they say,
Lemon.
peiras chamutzim, sour fruit,
Or extra.
sharp fruit. Lemons, esrogim, things like that. Yes, correct. Lemon esrog, which is
Yeah, hold on. An esrog and a lemon is sharp. Period. A grapefruit is sharp and sweet.
okay.
Is the
That's
grapefruit.
Grapefruit has sweetness. That's true.
No?
I'm just telling you, these two footnotes. Here he says grapefruit is counted, and here he says grapefruit is not counted.
That's
Just
the
telling you.
Ramah.
No, I'm talking about the footnotes. The editor is the footnotes, the modern day poskim we're talking about. Neither Mechaber nor the Ramah mention grapefruit. They just say sour fruit or sharp fruit. Okay. Likewise, dogim maluchim, sharp, heavily salted fish. They are all called sharp. Dinim shava l'chatach b'tznoin, and therefore it's the same halacha as in the previous sif, where the person cut radish, which she spent the last 40 minutes talking about. Says the Ramah, a person can eat, and merkachas is like a mixture of granulated spices from goyim. Granulated garlic does not require hechsher. Granulated pepper doesn't require hechsher. Yeah, notwithstanding the fact that in downtown everything has hechsher and their kosher label, and that's a very good, valuable thing, but not strictly required on a kashrus level.
They translated here
Anyway.
preserves, which makes it sound like it's like a jam or like,
Preserves?
They might put them into these items and they have.
That's not how I would have called it.
Because what you're saying makes a lot more sense.
I don't.
I'm saying today when they mix these items, sometimes he's saying they add other things.
Right.
Yeah, preservatives would be a big problem.
No,
In English, a mixture
You
of
have
dry.
you have spices like garlic pepper or something like this, or garlic powder. It would have to-
Yeah. It's talking about granulated stuff.
A mixture of dry spices you would never call in English preserves.
Unless I got the thing so wrong.
Well, you have to look up what the word preserves mean.
No, it has to be like for
No,
example.
in English it's
Could someone look up
preserved is
Safari's
not
translation,
dry
please?
Which word?
Safari's translations.
Really depends on children.
They do. A lot of it they do. Check Safari's translation, please.
Quick question on the
המזבח זה יש כאן גם טיחס וטחינה סתבלינים.
Flying is not part of Sifal.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Why is this, quick question on the layout of the Shulchan Aruch.
Yeah.
Why is this not part of Sifal?
Sif Aleph, he defined the halacha of davar charif. Now he's defining what davar charif is.
Still defining the Charif.
No, the first case he didn't define what davar charif is at all. He defined the halacha of davar charif. Not saying what davar charif is. Yeah, I don't know. How do you translate it?
Marinated.
Someone, no, that's what I was talking about here. It's definitely not marinated stuff. The issue here is not marination. The issue is dukhka sakina here. The issue is not marination. The issue is dukhka sakina. Please, someone look up the Safari translation. Sorry,
did somebody do it yet?
anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's translated. 96. You're there. 96-2.
The same law applies to a knife used to cut garlic, onions, horseradish, or similar spicy vegetables,
Yeah.
or tart fruits or salted fish.
Okay. Next.
In the Ramah translation, however, it's permitted to eat sauces prepared by Gentiles,
Sauces.
such as those with cloves for Gentiles.
So they were right. It's sauces.
To detach the
All right, I got it wrong.
cloves,
I got it
or they
wrong.
pluck them by hand.
Sauces. Yeah. Okay. So that means I guess it's a kind of it's a spicy mixture of sauces. Right. Okay. Interesting. Sounds
like a garlic oil.
something like that. Yeah. Where they cut up the garlic. Very good. Okay. So I was wrong. Yeah. Garlic oil that it is. Confit. Maybe not if it's cooked. Anyway. Sorry.
Confit, you say. Confit?
Confit.
Confit.
He is silent, is it not? Okay, it is. So good, we got corrected. Merkachas is this mixture made with cut up. The point is the cut up spices. That's the main point there. Sorry?
Like Maroc or something.
Yeah, the main point here is that it's cut up spices, and we're not concerned that the spices were used, that the spices were cut with non-kosher knife. That's the point. As he says here, there's some kelim yuchadim lakach. They have special utensils to produce these cut up spices, and I'm not concerned that the cut up spice was also cut up with a knife that was once used for non-kosher. Oh, you tell nice and bad, or they rip them out from the ground and they don't actually even cut them at all. In which case,
Not worried at all.
you don't have an issue of knife whatsoever. We can go straight to Gimel because I don't think there's many practical things that come out of this at all.
Nothing different than last Super. Just a different.
Sorry?
Nothing that would be different than.
No, we just added okay,
Examples. Which is
what he did here is what we added here is that even things that are not so sharp like radish, but are less sharp because it's a tart fruit, it still has the halach of davar charif. That's the chiddush here.
Would avocado be considered sharp or not at all?
No, not at all. Right? Here he gives a bunch of examples like radish, whatever color they are, onions, whatever onion they are, chrein, black pepper, to get the translations in Zanvil is ginger. Like he says, herring that's very salted would also be a problem, like he says here. Right, but then there are things that are somewhat charif, which is what's being added here, like lemon, esrog, certain types of very sharp olives. If you have pickles that have been made now to be tart, like a lemon, that would also count as sharp. Right. But things that are, here he says, things that are a little bit tart, but not very tart, like plum, orange, grapefruit, and kiwi is okay. Even though, again, this footnote here, he said grapefruit is considered sharp. Now, we also mentioned, and here it mentions this, since we talked about this, onions lose their sharpness once they get cooked. Right? They're no longer sharp, they actually become sweet when you caramelize them. Right? So, the onion that's cut when it's raw and then put into the frying pan is still considered davar charif because at the time of being cut was davar charif, and that's the problem. When it was cut with a meat knife, it absorbed that meat because it's a davar charif. It's only after you fried it and then you cut it later it wouldn't be a problem because now it's no longer davar charif. By the time the cutting was a davar charif, right? So you have to know at which point it's no longer a davar charif. Okay, so Gimel. Tavlin. We can finish this because it's not. The rest is very easy. The Ikir is Aleph. Tavlin, spices that have been ground up in a metal mortar and pestle. That is meat. Ben yoimoy, and that meat that mortar and pestle was earlier used within the last 24 hours to ground up meat, because you were in the olden days and you're making handmade artisanal burgers. And now you ground up pepper in that same mortar pestle that you used to ground up meat. Also, you cannot have those spices with milk. Others say, says the Ramah, even if the mortar and pestle wasn't used in the last 24 hours, it would still be problematic, because again, the Ramah is consistent that the spice, the sharp, has the capacity to reinvigorate negative flavor, make it positive. So even though this mortar and pestle has been used for meat in the last 24 hours, it's still considered omitting meat flavor, which is going to play a role in your blenders. Even if your blender wasn't used in the last 24 hours for milk, it's still going to be considered milchik to transfer flavor to your onion that you're now going to use with your blender. Right? Okay.
Why more than 24 hours?
Even if it's more than 24 hours.
Why?
Because again, the Ramah's view is that the sharpness has the capacity to make the negative flavor of 24 hours go into a positive. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for Gimel. If you have any other details. No, let's go forward. Ballot. May lemonish. Lemon juice. Shmevim agoyim, which the non-Jews come and sell to you after cutting up lemons with their knives. And oivei, they cut up lemons with knives. Maybe those knives are used for treif. As well as a big barrel of cut up salted fish, key on big barrel, and now they're selling it. So they're sharp. They were used with their knives. Nonetheless, mutardim, they're totally permissible. Now, why is that? Explains the Rama, because they're bringing tons at once. They're bringing you a whole bunch of lemon juice. So they must have cut up tons of lemons for that. And they're bringing a whole barrel of cut up fish. So they cut up a lot of fish. So which means the knife that they used cut up tons of lemon and cut up tons of fish. And therefore, even if a few of them that were cut, that were first cut in sakin shalgoyim with the non-kosher knife, which was used perhaps, I don't know for sure. So maybe it was used for non-kosher. But the few originally cut up either fish or lemons is nullified, and now the many cut up pieces of fish and lemons. And therefore, She'ein Nisar, and the later ones were not problematic. Because the nice flavor of non-kosher has the same way the sharpness has the capacity to cause absorption. It also has the capacity to ruin the flavor of the knife. So the flesh knife is cutting up 100 lemons. By the time it gets to lemon number 5 or 6, it's no longer giving off flavor of meat. And now when that whole pile of 100 lemons are put in front of you, only 5 of them maybe are problematic, but it's bottled on the right of most of them. And therefore your lemon juice is fine.
So let me understand. The goy cut up chazer.
You don't know that.
No, let's say.
So,
No, you're true.
that's why I mentioned from Rabbi Banan on Sunday, that if you're looking at a store where they're cutting up a few lemons to make a platter, and they also have a sausage down there that they're cutting,
Right.
It's not, I don't know what they use a knife for.
Right.
It's
They use
likely,
for whatever.
and they're not
reason.
cutting hundreds of lemons in a row, right? But if you're talking about buying, they mass produce cut up lemons. That's the case here, where the guy brings a massive lemonade. So he cut up hundreds of lemons to get there. So even if, I don't know for sure, but even if the knife was used for non-kosher, it's completely bottled already.
Mm-hmm. So assume it's
Because of
right?
spice,
even if
Assume
you're-
it's
that's
speed,
even if
and because it's spicy, yes, the spicy here works to your advantage.
Okay.
Right, that the flavor went away by the time you get to for fluid.
It's since it's not to his disadvantage if you found a piece of meat in the lemon.
Oh yeah, for sure,
I
it's a
boy
piece of
wouldn't be
meat.
happy with that.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
So let's say he cut the chazer and now he took a Kleenex and he just cleaned off all the.
You don't
meat.
know for sure that's what he did.
But no, I don't know. But although it's sure.
Yeah, let's just say he did that.
Let's just
Yeah,
say he did that. Okay, and now we cut 1,000 lemons.
yeah.
So it's okay.
So from lemon, he doesn't give a number, but somewhere after.
Whatever, a gigantic amount.
And I don't know that he used that non-kosher. Then that's fine.
I don't know. I
It's bottled.
can't know that he
Even
did.
if it happened, it's bottled. I wouldn't lechatchila around the bittul. But even if it happened, it's bottled.
Mhm.
Which is why Again, lemons cut up in a bar where they have designated knives at the bar is fine,
Right.
because all they do is cut up lemons at the bar.
At the bar, they use their
So
utensils.
if there's no, it's right. So if it's a store that doesn't sell anything else, but if it's a store that's making small volume, making custom platters,
No, I'm saying just like a regular fruit store in the Queen Mary,
Yeah.
they only
Yeah.
sell fruits, vegetables.
that's fine.
Yeah, some non-kosher products, but not produce. Produce is not.
Right.
Also
Good.
kosher.
That's fine. Again, but here, the vert here is because the guy came with a barrel of a bunch of cut up fish. That's why it's okay. Because you use the same knife to cut up all that fish, presumably. And even if the knife is early used something problematic, it's bottle already by now.
Oh, same with
It came from a store that
Say again?
also had.
anything, a store.
No, because any fish in a store that's cut, when you're going to a regular store and buying fish, they're not cutting masses of fish at once.
They cut like 30 pieces, let's say.
And then 2 minutes ago, what they cut?
Yeah, after
30 exactly 30 octopus, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're presenting you with 100 cuts of fish. Then maybe the knife was used something for earlier. You're looking at it. The knife was definitely used for octopus 5 minutes ago, right? And now they're cutting up your fish.
It was
It's bottled.
It's right.
Hold on a second. I have a child about that.
No, not good at all.
In any store,
Eat love that goes rinsed at all, and certainly not good enough.
in any fish store that you go to, that they only have fish, even if they have non-kosher fish. It's all on ice, it's all cold, it's all a knife that's cold.
Doesn't matter. The ducht is like we're not learning the lux of fish right now, but again, but the ducht is like the pressure of the knife has residue, which is then being sliced onto your cod. So if you want to eat that cod, you have to scrape off the edge. That's it. If there was heat and sharp, it would go more than just the edge. Now you're entering the machlekes of our simon. But if it was not a sharp, it's a regular just piece of fish, then you scrape off the edge and that's the end.
What if you know
Yeah.
that this Asian store sells the cheapest on lemons, and you know they're cutting up octopus with it, but
And you
you're
can't.
buying- But you're buying 100 lemons at a time.
No, you can't lechatchila do this.
They don't cut
It's
up.
post factum.
Oh.
You're being sold a bunch of lemons. Maybe the guy used the knife for something no
But
good.
if you know,
And even if he did for no good, it's still bottled.
but if you know for,
And you can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't. That's
Oh,
right.
they're squeezing juice with it?
Well, if you know,
That's right.
the wrong thing was done. That would always be the case.
Fresh juice?
Yeah, would this apply for like a fresh juice then, like a pressed juice? With needing a hechsher, or with this
Cien?
fresh pressed juice.
pressed juices and like hechsher?
Do Hashem rely on this for press juice? Perhaps. I don't know.
Some of them have.
Well, do you
some-
eat or
some
you
of
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Do you need or you don't?
He's saying you go to a juice bar and all they serve is juice. And all they have is
If it's a juice bar,
Oranges and
it's serious.
lemons
It's
and-
very hard to make it usher.
pineapple and
Yeah.
Very hard to make it usher.
Also, same actual environment.
Actually, the place where it's easiest to make it usser is in Eretz Yisrael.
That's
It's Trumas and Maestris.
But now there's lots in
But-
Canada.
true something.
I know that's really your problem is that you're the Jaffa oranges or whatever the oranges from Eretz
They
Yisrael.
brought nitrons and
But-
now.
But you're right. It's very difficult to say that going to a juice bar is treif. It's very difficult to say so. Again, we are. I mentioned this many times. We're much more machman kosher than we need to be.
Right.
Because we have capacity to, but in reality, it's very difficult to say Tropicana is just that Tropicana is not kosher, and it's very difficult to say that the fruit juice is not kosher.
There's additives.
But Tropicana has a hechsher.
When you go to a fresh pressed fruit thing and they cut the vegetables,
Oh, then you can treat it.
all the halachas learning here is that they have designated knives for these things. Do they not?
As long as you see that they're cutting
Why
up.
did we get hit over the head when we bought
So you
orange
go-
juice?
Sorry.
I bought orange juice from Yeshiva. I got hit over the head. It was the wrong texture. We don't.
Okay, you have to be sensitive to community standards and things. But I'm just telling you, guys,
So why do we have these standards then? Like it's.
because we can be,
Because
we
you
can.
have it.
because we can.
They have water now with a hechsher.
We have
right?
food.
Yeah.
How many places do you have water with
That's
it?
why we
Water
have.
with a head
Water, yeah.
We are not sparse. Baruch Hashem.
There's an OU that printing
there-
out on the
is there-
bottle.
I mean, it's 3 nights of water. That's for.
Like
You
three
got-
next to
Great
it.
juice is a story.
There's water.
Grape juice being
Nine.
mixed with the
Not-
fruit juice, like.
Okay, 1 second. Making a good point. Ben making a good point about grape juice being mixed into the juice, the juice. And I have an issue with Ayin Nesach. Good point.
It's just pressed grapes,
Point received. Point received.
but is if they just press grapes and call that grape juice, is that grape juice?
First of all, if they pressed it in front of you, it wouldn't be an Ayin Nesach anyway. Right?
Because you're there.
Because you're there watching.
They're doing it.
But most of these fruit squeezers do not have grapes in their roster.
Too expensive.
Okay, but is that?
They don't
Don't use that. Sorry?
No,
They don't have grapes anyway.
That's not a thing that you,
Maybe that would be a Yain Nesach issue. But most of them don't have grapes in their roster
but
anyway.
he could have a bottle.
Anyway, about why
Grape
we're,
juice that he pours in, he makes it the orange juice and he cuts it with a few ounces of grape.
maybe
It's possible.
it's possible, but it's unlikely. Anyway,
Okay.
Where are we? So I want you to, let's continue.
Let's finish here.
We can finish this. We have to do that. We have to do tzedek sign anyway, so let's come back. Let's finish this. Let's finish, Dalit. What time is it now?
9.
Okay, so let's finish the simon. Let's finish the sif and we'll continue, God willing,
Revise the whole dollar or hey?
let's just see if Thursday, if it's available. We're finishing Dalit.
That's it?
Yes, we're finishing Dalit.
Hey, it's tiny also.
Now, Hey, is a little bigger, yeah. It's not very difficult, but it's a little bigger. And not as well very difficult either, but I'm not gonna push anything. Let's just say not even love, sorry. You know what? Can we finish Dalit and Hey now? We'll do tzedek zayin next time we meet?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's finish then. Okay, so just to quickly answer your question, why we're machmer, answer is because we can be. Baruch Hashem, we're very opulent, we have lots of food, we have lots of options, and there's no reason to rely on any Atayim that they used to because they didn't have much available. And the draw's job was to make things kosher. Okay, let's continue. So again? Same things, anything similar to that, where there's lots being cut, and the earlier ones may be problematic, and at this point it is okay anyway because it's cut after many other sharp things, the flavor is gone. There are some places that they wait, I skipped something?
No.
I did. Therefore, compost. I believe it's there was some sort of cabbage salad.
Oh.
People ate this cabbage salad. Even though it's cut up by a non-Jew. Again, they rely on this heter again because, and even though this cabbage may have been soaked in, they used to soak it in vinegar or something like that to give its flavor. So it's sharp, the cabbage, and even though it's cut up very thinly, but because they cut so much of it, the flavor is gone, they were lenient. But Yesh Machmirin, there are places that are lenient in this regard. And the ain l'shanei saminig, one shouldn't change the custom if they're in a place where they're stringent, even though, as far as halacha goes, there's no reason to be stringent here. But other things that aren't so sharp, like the sour apples, they're not absolute sharp, but we treated them earlier as sharp, but they're not majorly sharp. Or liftos yeveshim, or dried liftos was what was a leek? No, it was not leek. It was a turnip, thank you. Dried turnip and the like, which were cut by goyim. We are lenient in this regard. Kamoy beliminish, just like lemonade, one should not be stringent at all. Don't be stringent, says the Rambam. We just said nice. Okay. Any details here that we should know from our trusty friend? Some people apparently aren't lenient, aren't lenient at all in this regard.
Yeah.
Because when the Ramah says some places are machmir, he says that after the cut up cabbage. But there are those that say when they say some places are machmir means everything, including the lemon and the fish. So some people are stringent irregardless.
Because we have to have extra on everything, right? So it's
Yeah.
basically.
And the Shach even says the ikar is to be machmir. Especially if it's not, unless not super sharp, it's only a little sharp. Yeah, but places that you know for sure that they have knives specifically for that particular purpose, you're totally fine. Even if you don't have a doubt of a doubt, you know for sure that these are knives designated for these purposes. It's fine. Okay, hey, let's finish A. We finish the simon, and God willing, next time we meet, we'll learn Lamed Zayin, Tzaddik Zayin, which is part of our quota. Chotach kishuim, if a person cut cucumbers, they're not sharp. The sakin shabasar with a meat knife. And
Meat knife that has meat flavor.
And it wasn't cleaned properly, so it leaves behind some residue, as was in the old day. You can just scrape off the edge of the cucumber, and then you can have the cucumber with milk. That is, sheyigdar makam achatach. You have to scrape off the area that was cut, but not enough to wash it. In most cases, we said before.
Not enough to wash it.
We said before.
It's not enough to wash it.
It's not enough to wash it. Correct. We said before that if you cut with a knife, no heat, no sharp, all you need to do is wash off the edge because of the residue. But because cucumbers have like that mushy feel texture, it makes
It's a vegetable that's primarily.
it's a
made out of
vegetable,
water.
it's primarily water, so it has that mushy texture. So it will
Absorb
stick, it'll absorb more of the residue from the knife, and therefore washing it off is not enough to scrape it off. That's what he says. Now, if you cut our friendly turnip with meat knife, turnip, or actually for that matter, carrots, you wouldn't need even to scrape it off. As we mentioned, it'd be enough to wash it off with water. Moreover, even radish, which is sharp, it was our opening sharp item. You cut a sharp radish right with a meat knife, right after you used that same knife earlier for our turnip friend. Then the radish, which is sharp, which would ordinarily absorb at least kedenatila, because I first cut with the turnip sweetness and the carrot has this capacity to neutralize the sharpness and therefore to neutralize the off-giving flavor of the knife. And if when it afterwards cuts the sharp item, the radish, it doesn't absorb at all, and you can wash off the radish. Kamaya lefesh, just like the turnip itself. Because the turnip has this unique flavor that's somewhat sweet, and it nullifies the flavor of the residue of the meat, and which comes off of the knife. Continues the Rama, specifically turnip, which has this unique flavor, and therefore it causes the flavor of the meat that's on the knife to be neutralized. Of a yarak, some other vegetable, a lechem or bread, besides from other items, light. It does not nullify the flavor of the meat, and therefore I can cut bread with a meat knife, and then cut my radish with a meat knife. The radish that was cut with that meat knife, even though it was earlier cut with the bread, is still going to absorb the meat flavor. And even when you're going from turnip to radish, where the turnip does neutralize the flavor of the meat and prevent it from being fully absorbed in the radish, that's only pamachas. It's only once. So one turnip, one radish. One turnip, one radish cut. Go cut back and forth to prevent your radish from absorbing meat. I will have a problem not many times. Unless you cut a turnip in between each cut of your radish. Interesting din.
It reminds me of my potato idea of using a potato to kasher your.
Sorry?
It reminds me of the idea that I had.
Did you find the source for that? Or you asked?
I made it up. I wanted to know if you could kasher your knife with a potato. Like
That I'm aware of.
you know,
Okay,
instead
you
of the
can-
dirt, instead of earth.
So usually Tuesday night. Okay, tomorrow night is usually we do Wednesday nights. This week, Wednesday, I scheduled an event. Thinking it would be Chazzrah time we were gonna have a share. But there's an event tomorrow night which I hope everybody can join.
Wednesday.
Wednesday night, I'm sorry. The L'chaim Project, beautiful event, God willing. Having a screening of a beautiful downstairs in the lobby right here.
Are you having screenings?
We're screening a premiere of a film we're producing about our Meftzayim and MTC called the L'chaim Project. So that's Wednesday night,
Wow.
God willing. Sorry?
So nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice, God willing. And Thursday night, we will learn Tzadik Zion, and then we'll start proper Chazzrah. We'll have to make a decision about Chazzrah. I think the last time we did Chazzrah was we went inside, and that seemed to work out. So maybe we'll see if everybody thinks for that as well again. Okay, you know, it's not.
Come for shots, yeah?